Brian Spivak, welcome to Jewish Money Matters. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Yael. Excited to be here.
I've been really looking forward to this conversation. You are the founder of Barzel Media, an agency dedicated to supporting pro-Israel influencers, creators, and brands, creating an essentially an economic iron dome for Israel and the Jewish people. I love the mission and I want to explore it in detail, but I think maybe we have to take a few steps back before we get to what you're doing with Barzel at the moment. I think maybe we can go back to the events that led you to see this need in the market and seek to serve it through this newest endeavor. So take us back to what happened to Brian professionally since October 7th, because I think that will give us some context and help us understand.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the story goes where basically, like everybody, it was just, normal day job, working in tech, like everybody does in Tel Aviv. October 7th happened, and obviously the entire country, the world changed, but the entire country mobilized, where everybody started volunteering.
Mhm.
And I was doing various volunteer efforts here and there. And long story short, I found myself volunteering at the Hostage Forum. And I basically found that nobody was running any influencer program there. So I decided to take that on and come up with a whole influencer strategy and influencer program. And
Mhm.
so it was a total grassroots effort. I didn't really know what the heck I was doing from like the onset. But we tried and tested a few things. And ultimately, what we wanted to accomplish was we wanted to ensure that influencers and celebrities could be a positive voice for the hostages and tell their story individually, not just share like whatever the social media team was putting out there, but really take ownership of these individuals, these human beings, and humanize their story. And do it in a creative way that would cut through a lot of the social media noise.
Mhm.
And so we actually had, various campaigns and initiatives running that I'm really, really proud of. We had a team of anywhere between 2 and 5 volunteers, working on the team, and it was wild. It was crazy. It was, an emotional roller coaster of a ride, and I did that for about 4 or 5 months.
And you were doing that volunteer, right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was completely volunteer. And then what is it that you noticed was happening to many of the influencers, whether they be the big ones, the smaller ones, that then kind of lit a spark in you?
Yeah. So, um, one of the things that I kept on hearing was that these influencers who were standing up for Israel, they were losing money. They weren't getting their brand deals anymore. They lost, $100,000 deal here. Somebody lost their entire career, their only brand that they were working with overnight. People were struggling financially. And it was hard for these content creators and influencers to really kind of raise their hand and say, somebody look out for me because they're the ones that supposed to lead this glamorous life of, what influencers, are supposed to have, which is like, yeah, we get everything for free and we do this and we travel and it's not all glamorous, by the way. I personally would never want to be a content creator. I have massive amount of respect for them, but it's really, really hard work, and you're putting yourself out there every single day. And and I think, because I was running the influencer program, they were able to come to me and people sought me out. Even people that I never met before were reaching out, asking if I had, different ways to financially support them, different connections.
Wow.
And I was like, this is crazy. Like, these are our digital warriors that are fighting on the front lines of, you know, the second most important, line of the war, right? There's the
Mm-hmm.
combat, and then there is the element of ensuring our the survival of the Jewish people and the survival of Israel from a diplomatic standpoint. We
Hmm.
put so much effort into the diplomacy, but this is really the grassroots effort of the diplomacy because they're influencing the people and the audience and the voters on the ground. And so, but no one was really paying attention to that. And how are they doing? How are they being supported? Who's looking out for them? And so that was one thing that just like stuck out to me from the very
Hmm.
beginning.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how it started.
Wow. So then now tell us by the way, I know I love the name Barzel Media. Love the name. Tell us
Thank
what it
you.
means for those who don't understand the word in Hebrew.
Yeah, so the origin story of I was trying to come up with a name that signified strength and protection. One of the words that I thought of was like maybe magen, magen means like defense and shield
Mhm.
I was like I remember where I was when I thought of this name, which I thought it was cool, but definitely not, you know, not worthy of a real name. It was like Magenfluencers.
Yeah, that's
That was
good.
the
That's
first thing
cool.
that came to mind. Yeah. I was like, that's cool, but not in reality. So I was trying to find another word like that. And then I thought of Barzel, which means iron, and iron signifies strength.
Right.
And the Iron Dome is called Kippat Barzel, our iron protection, our Iron Dome. And so that was a key reason why I utilized that word. Also, fun fact was another thing that was really important for me was that English speakers and Americans would be able to pronounce it. And I
Yes.
knew with 100% certainty that they would be able to do that because there is a hockey player by the name of Matt Barzell,
Oh,
and the announcers have no trouble saying his name.
there you
Yeah.
go.
And by the way,
Smart.
a little teaser we could
Yeah.
talk about maybe a little bit later, but there's a little bit of a cool component that he plays for the New York Islanders, and there is something going on with hockey and Barzel Media and the New York Islanders coming up very, very soon, which is like
Don't
awesome.
tease us. Tell us more.
Right. Okay, fine. We'll jump right into it. So, this is nuts. I got a phone call um, from a friend of mine. And well, I guess I'll back up first. So I am a big hockey fan. I grew up playing hockey my whole life,
Wait, where
and
did you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in New York for 10 years and I played hockey like most of my life. But I grew up playing roller hockey. I played one season of ice hockey when I was, I don't know, in middle school, and my parents thought it was too dangerous. And they were like, listen, we can't have you doing this anymore. And it was really hard because I loved the sport so much. So I played roller hockey. I played foot hockey and then roller hockey and I got pretty good at it. And I was playing in amazing leagues. And when I was making Aliyah, one of my friends told me that there's ice hockey here, and I was like, "Get out! No way! Really?" This was 10 years ago. Well, sorry, this was now about 14, probably 12 to 14 years ago when he was telling me this. And I was like, okay, that sounds super interesting. Okay. I've always wanted to play ice hockey. You know what? I'm selling everything. I feel like I'm starting like a whole new life. Let me buy ice hockey equipment, practice here, for a little bit, and then jump on the ice when I come to Israel. And that's what I
Sorry,
did.
mom and dad. I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
I get to
Yeah.
make my
Yeah.
own
So
choices.
exactly. So I started playing ice hockey so basically I was playing roller hockey in the Northeast where there's ice, and then I moved to the desert in the Middle East, and that's where I started playing ice hockey. Yeah. So that's my fun ice hockey transition, and I've been playing for the last 10 years pretty much. And so that's the backstory. I got a phone call about 3 weeks ago from a friend of mine who runs one of the hockey leagues here.
Mhm.
And he says, Brian, I hope you're ready for this because this is going to be probably the most exciting phone call you're going to get in a long time. He tells me that he's putting on a hockey game at UBS Arena where the New York Islanders play, and it's going to be featuring the Jerusalem Capitals against HC Tel Aviv, the Tel Aviv Hockey Club. So two local teams from Israel playing where the New York Islanders play at UBS Arena in New York.
So cool.
And he said, we're putting on this game. It's going to be a big Jewish event. We're going to have, all the, red carpet, the VIPs, the, classic Jewish celebrities. We're going to have all these exhibits and it's going to be a full day event as well. And we want you and Barzel Media involved. And I was like, yalla, let's do it, baby. So it's happening March 23rd, 2025. And it's crazy exciting. And it's kind of coming full circle. Hopefully we can get Matt Barzel there.
There you go. And people,
Yeah.
You heard it first on Jewish Money Matters podcast, by
True.
the way.
By the way, this is not public yet. So it's, hearing it first right here.
Stay tuned. We'll tell you where to get to your tickets. Everybody head over there.
Yep, 100%.
So then with that, now let's get a little bit granular on what exactly is Barzel Media doing. Now you've given us this scoop for March, but tell us now what's happening with Barzel Media. What do you guys do?
I guess I'll give you kind of like the story of how it evolved and then kind of where we are now. So, I tried to keep things very simple. I realized that influencers were losing their brand partnerships. So there's lots of Jewish-owned companies and Israeli companies. So let me take a Jewish-owned brand and match them up with a pro-Israel influencer.
Nice.
Simple. And I tried to do that while I was at the Hostage Forum. It just ended up being too complicated. I was already doing so much. We were working like crazy hours. It was one of the most challenging parts of actually being at the Hostage Forum, and actually still today, is saying no. Because everybody knew that I was volunteering there. Everybody wants something to do with the hostages. Everybody wants to give back. Everybody feels like just every fiber in their being wants to do something for the hostages. And so I'm getting phone calls left and right. And then I also have family members who want to do these massive initiatives. And sometimes for them, you can't really say no. Like, how could you say no to them? But the feasibility of pulling off some of these initiatives is incredibly complicated. You can't just come up with like an influencer or celebrity idea and just like execute it like that. It is very complicated. And every week there was another milestone. It was another holiday. It was another American holiday. It was a Jewish holiday. It was the number of days that they were in captivity. So there was always something going on. And so having to say no was just so hard. And I still have to do that now. I get phone calls left and right from people who have these really incredible ideas. They have documentaries, they have movies, they have TV series, they have events, they have partnerships, they have charities, and I can't take it all on. That's one of the hardest parts for me. But going back to the start of Barzel Media was I wanted to keep things very, very simple. So I was like, great, let's find brands to match them up with influencers. That's how it started. It ended up working really, really well. I left the Hostage Forum and launched the company. Sorry, opened up the company. And then a few months later, we did like a big PR announcement and a big launch. And we started to get a few clients. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just knew that it was
like every good entrepreneur. We're just flying the plane just as we're building the engine. That's how we do it.
Exactly. And I always say to people, like, at the time when I decided to start the company, it made no sense for me to do it. It defied, this is Jewish Money Matters. This is not like, I would say financially, this was the dumbest thing to do.
It's not like Brian had saved up a financial runway to embark on this.
No. I mean, I'm lucky in the sense that the company that I wanted to start was service-based and I didn't
Mhm.
have to build any technology. I just had to network, which is what I'm good at anyway. And I'm creative and I had built up like a good brand reputation for myself, just having been at the hostage forum. I'm like, cool, let me just use what I have and figure this out. And it started to
Amazing.
work.
Amazing.
Um,
Wait, did you quit your day job or were you still are you still working in tech? Or you went full in?
so so the story is basically so for the first 2 months that I was volunteering, I was also working my day job. I basically had two full-time jobs. It was absolutely insane. It
Insane.
was until midnight. It was insane. It was crazy. And what ended up happening because this ended up becoming such a core part of everything that I was doing that it overtook my full-time job. And my company said to me, listen, you either have to come back to work full time or go on unpaid leave, which I think was actually a very fair offer.
Hmm.
And at the time, there wasn't anybody that could take over for me. I didn't feel like I could hand over the reins to anyone. So I decided I'm going to go on unpaid leave, which was like a crazy decision.
Wow.
Was really, really hard. I was like, I'm going to figure it out. It's just going to work. It's going to work out. Um, and I was able to work it out. And yeah, and then basically spent another 2 months at the hostage forum. And I realized that this was something that I needed to do
Hmm.
and start this company. I was talking about it. Everybody who I spoke to said, "Yeah, that's really important." I was like, "Okay, but like you have a marketing agency or you built a company, you're a successful entrepreneur. Why don't you do you want to do this with me or like
Right.
maybe you want to do it? Like somebody needs to do it who has more experience than me." And they're like, "It's
More
a great
capital.
yeah, and more capital, right?" They're like, we're doing something else. I was like, all right, if not me, then who? Uh,
Hmm.
Not now, then when? So I quit. I left the hostage forum. It was like there was like some transitions happening. So it was like a good time for me to leave anyway. And officially quit my day job. Like, so I went back and told them that I'm not coming back and opened up my business all on the same day. And it was just the craziest thing. I was driven by passion and the knowledge that it was the right thing to do. Now it was
Hmm.
a hard thing to do, kind of like for me making Aliyah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's another story, but it wasn't something that I ever wanted to do. But I knew it was the right thing to do. And that I think is
Yes.
like a really key component to how we live our lives. When we're presented with an opportunity, if it's hard, that's good.
Yep.
The knowledge that it's the right thing to do, that should be whether or not you do it.
Hmm. Yeah, if it's uncomfortable, but you know it's the right thing, but there's an element of discomfort, that should tell you that the success is on the other side of that discomfort because it's the right thing to do, even if it doesn't feel comfortable at the moment.
Yeah. I have a what's the word I'm looking for? A New Year's resolution or mission statement that I came to about 5 years ago that completely changed my life.
Hmm.
It was a New Year's resolution that I took on. I kind of like just came up with it, but it's not anything that novel. But the actual words, I think, really matter here. And it was say yes to things that make you uncomfortable, but that are objectively good.
Hmm.
So anytime you're presented, anytime somebody asks you to do something, if it makes you uncomfortable, just say yes.
Hmm.
And it also works for any idea or concept that pops into your head. You just say yes. And that completely changed my life. I would not be doing anything that I've done in the last 4 years if I didn't take that on. And I have like 1,000 examples of that.
I think I read one of them has to do with speaking in public, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, you did your homework.
I
Yeah.
did.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. So yeah, basically like I don't know, maybe 2, 3 weeks after I made that proclamation, and I said it out loud to people. So that's also another key thing, is that if you're going to do this and take it on, for anybody listening and watching and that wants to take it on, you say it out loud, you tell people,
Yeah,
because then you're accountable and people can call you out on it.
it's
And
big.
so, yeah. And so basically 2, 3 weeks after I made that proclamation, my head of marketing at, a company that I was working at came to me and said, we're going to this conference and, we're flying you out there. We also have a speaking slot and we want you to speak. Are you up for that? And I said, sure, no problem. And in my head, I'm like, what are you doing? What? Like, no,
I
like,
could totally relate.
yeah. And it was, I never liked public speaking. I didn't think I was good at it. And here I am now, and I love going on podcasts. I like being interviewed. I give inspirational, motivational speeches now, like at Chabad. I speak like in between each aliyah, in between each chapter, giving a summary. Like, and half the time I don't even know what I'm about to say. So
Right.
now I'm on the other side of that, loving public speaking. So it's just incredible that you can turn something that you think you're not good at or that you dread into something that you end up loving.
Yeah, yeah, I had the same experience, and this we're going back already like almost 2 decades, maybe more. I was always the person in grad school, and I went to business school. I got an MBA, and we always had to work in teams, and we always had to present. And I was always the one who was not going to do the presentation. I'll build it. I'll be the behind the scenes, but I'm not standing. And I got presented an opportunity to go speak at a huge crowd on Yom Kippur. And I couldn't say no to the person who asked me, but it was literally like, what did I just do? Like, I do not speak in public. And it
Mhm.
literally launched my entire public speaking career. It's crazy. It's
There
crazy.
you go.
It's
Yep.
crazy.
You
Yeah.
couldn't say
Yeah.
no. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's one of the things I love the most, being on stage. So now let's go back to Barzel. So one
Yeah.
of the things you do is you put the brand and you put
Influencers. Yeah.
the influencer together, right? Um, who's paying the influencer? Who's paying Barzel? You or the brand? I mean, the influencer or the brand or both?
So the brand, so basically we're a media agency primarily, that's representing the brands. So
Okay.
even though our mission is to support pro-Israel influencers, the larger mission is like creating this economic iron dome. And one of the things that I realized very early on, that in order for me to do this successfully, is that I need to make sure that I am like, in a way, like talent agnostic, where, well, not agnostic in the sense where like I have certain standards of, all right, you have to be pro-Israel, but in the sense where I'm not representing them. I'm coming to the brand and saying, hey, what are your marketing goals? What are you looking to accomplish? Who are the types of people that you want to work with?
Mm-hmm.
We'll go out and find them for you. We don't
You
have
make the
our
shit
own,
up.
we make the shit up. Yeah. And I don't have a son or daughter that I'm trying to secretly set you up with. Yeah. Yeah.
No vested interest here.
Yeah, no vested interest. Yeah, yeah. So that's
Very
that's
cool.
that's the idea. Although recently we've now expanded where I just yes no today this morning we just
We're
signed
getting
our
everything hot off the press here. Thank
yeah
you, Brian.
exactly
What a
breaking
great
news yeah
guest.
yeah so I just signed we just signed our first talent and it's super exciting. He's somebody that I've been basically working with and building up and making connections for him in a total unofficial capacity. We didn't talk about anything commercial related at all. I was like, I just have to help this guy because this guy's going to be huge for Israel and the Jewish people. And he's like, he's untapped. Nobody
Mm.
knows about him yet.
Ooh.
And so yeah, and he's a documentary filmmaker behind one of the largest documentaries, sorry, one of the most successful documentaries in 2021, called Seaspiracy. Ever hear that?
Okay.
Yeah, it was
No.
on Netflix. It was like number one in, sorry, top 10 in like 50 different countries. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, we're just signed with him and and he's working on some crazy cool stuff. So
Oh,
be on,
well,
yeah.
I'm looking him up. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. I'm so excited. So I did hear so there's this, but I think I found, I'm actually going to quote you. I was reading about the Digital Israel Fund, and which you'll tell us about in a second. And I think I saw there on LinkedIn. I'm looking it up right now, and I'm going to quote you what you said because it was very interesting. You said it's not about helping the biggest names, but rather about empowering the rising voices, the one you don't see on stage at the annual galas. So tell us more about this, because up to this point, we were talking about the brands with the big names. So here now you're saying there's also a focus of you're interested in amplifying the voices of those who maybe not everybody knows, but they are digital warriors as well. And maybe they're getting slammed in different ways or harder. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think one of the ways of looking at it, and this, metaphor just came to my mind, but imagine for a second that, the government only had programs looking out for our miluim, for like our generals and our officers, but
Right.
no one in infantry or no one in the rank and file. We would be like up in arms, right?
Right.
So that's, again, this is because there's no real, program to look after these influencers. Uh, what ends up happening is that the top influencers just get so much of the attention, they get all the stage time. And so when people think about looking out for our influencers, and people say to me, really? Like, Lizzie Savetsky and Montana Tucker and Michael Rappaport, they need my money, they need my help. Really? Like, you're starting an agency to look out for them? That's so cute, Brian. No, 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 no. They're going to be fine. And listen, we've done things with some large influencers, but that's not the purpose, and then that's not that the reason why Barzel Media exists.
Okay.
Really to help the influencers that don't get the stage time, that aren't going to the big galas, that really need our help and protection. And many of them were, travel influencers and beauty influencers and fitness influencers. And they totally switched their content to be pro-Israel, like full-time advocacy. And some of them are doing, they're still doing their normal content creation of one of those categories. But every once in a while, they're posting about Israel. And just the mere fact that they're posting about Israel, they're blacklisted.
Oh my
Brands
gosh. Tell me
don't work.
about it, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
So
I seriously get like locked out of Instagram at least every 2 weeks. I don't panic about it anymore. And it's not even like my content. It's not like my reels are about Israel. It's just where I comment, what I put in my stories. I don't even know. And it's like, really, again, do we have to deal with this again? And I'm not even Lissy Skavetsky. You know what I mean? Like, who am I?
yeah. No, it's a serious, serious issue. So not only are they blacklisted on the platforms themselves, but the brands blacklist them and don't
Yeah.
want to work because they're political.
Mm-hmm.
If they weren't political when they posted about trans rights or Black
Right.
Lives Matter or the Me Too movement. No, those are all okay. But the moment you want to stand up against anti-Semitism,
Right.
that's too political. Yeah.
Right. Which again, it's a human issue. It's not a political issue, but let's not even go there because we'll get all,
Yeah.
carried away here. So then aside from the brand partnerships and presumably some of the smaller influencers are not necessarily, you're not just necessarily getting them brand partnerships. There's other things like you do. I think there's an element of community support. Is there like professional training, financial assistance stuff? What exactly is going on?
Yeah, so basically, what started out to be just, what I was calling Barzal Media in the beginning was an influencer marketing agency. And then I
Mm-hmm.
stopped because I realized that we're much more than that. And influencers needed a lot more support than just a brand partnership here and there. So what I ended up doing was launching a community for pro-Israel influencers that
Oh,
come in and get access to different services, different connections, and really have a community that is there to help and support them. So we have different products and services that live within our community. So on one side, we have 160 plus pro-Israel influencers that are looking for help in a variety of ways. And then on the other side, we have all these products and services and service providers that can help them. So we
Mm.
have, we have a company that service provider that we work closely with that provide merch and branding for influencers so they can have an alternative revenue stream. We have a provider that can help your account if protect your account if it got shut down.
Wow.
We have a service provider that helps you to build your own community yourself so that you can monetize outside of Instagram and social media. So we're all about trying to provide basically three core elements for influencers:
Mm-hmm.
monetization, education, and support.
Mm-hmm.
And within those, there's many different layers as well. Um, and in terms of finance, you brought up financial aid and the Digital Israel Fund. We have a fund which is a nonprofit arm to Barzel Media. So we have a 501(c)(3) that is we have a fiscal sponsor that is allowing us to raise funds using their charity. And the whole idea behind the Digital Israel Fund is to support influencers and to support influencer-led projects.
Mm-hmm.
So basically two kinds of ways that you can support influencers through this fund. You can think of example number one would be if an influencer wanted to fly to Morocco and interview the Arabs there to find out if they knew about the Jewish community that existed, before 1948
Mm-hmm.
and when well before that. And to basically influencer-led creative projects. Somebody wants
Wow.
to, we have people who are making a social media kids program that is like Blue's Clues style. We have somebody who's writing a book that's a handbook for incoming college students. They know how to be prepared. So there's all these different, somebody wants to do a like cooking around the world, Jewish cooking around the world, visiting all these countries, different episodes. I mean, these are our creative minds, and they are being stymied because they don't have the financial means to pull off these incredible projects. So we want to be the conduit that can help them launch these projects. And there's one other aspect, which
Mm-hmm.
is, hey, we're already creating this content, but we can accelerate our content creation if we could hire an editor, or if we can hire a videographer, professional studio lighting, podcast, whatever it is. So great, you can submit, hey, this is this is the budget I would need to hire an editor for 3 months. Great, you submit it to us and we help, with the financing of it.
Amazing. So it's literally working as a fund. And
Yep.
and that's why you were telling us at the beginning of the conversation that you're sometimes in the position to say no because you have to sift through all these projects. Do you have other people helping you sift through all of this?
I have a community manager that I've hired to basically ensure that we're growing our community, that our community members know about all of the projects that we're working on. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, we have a project with the Hostage Forum right now. So the Hostage Forum actually hired Barzel Media back twice now. They hired us for their Pesach Haggadahs, and then
Nice.
they hired us now for their Hanukkah campaign. Um,
Nice.
and we're getting influencers to promote the Hanukkah candles of light, so that people can donate, to the hostage families and to the hostage forum.
Amazing, amazing. When you were talking about the community aspect and you have 160 plus influencers on that one side, and then you have different services that they could benefit from, do do influencers pay like a membership fee for this community aspect of it?
It's a
Is
great
this run like
question.
a membership?
I was thinking about doing that. I really wanted to. Basically, the platform that I'm using encourages, to basically have paid memberships, or you
Right.
can have free plus paid products. Ultimately, I decided to keep it open. I didn't want to, have a barrier to influence. I mean, influencers already have these barriers, and I'm like,
Wow.
why have another one? Even though I was
Wow.
thinking of charging, just $5 a
Right.
month, or, not even that much money. Um, because of the reason why I wanted to do it is because actually not to generate revenue. I mean, it's like it's not a lot. It's more about if you're paying for something, then you're going to be more active and
Yeah.
involved. So I'm still considering doing that because I want more engagement. I want, one of the biggest challenges is that influencers are getting hit up left and right, and there's so much noise out there, and their phone is just pinging all the time. So even though we have amazing products and services and things for them, sometimes it's really hard to get through. You have to like just with anyone and everyone these days, you have to
Right.
message people over and over again, and I'm guilty of that as well. So it's hard to cut through all the noise, but sometimes if you're like, oh, this is something that I'm paying for, I gotta pay attention to. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Probably not
Mm-hmm.
though.
Mm-hmm. 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 So on our end, as we're listening to you, how can we help? We can donate to the fund.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways that, an average listener can get involved. So number one is, yeah, if you want to donate to the fund,
Mm-hmm.
are opportunities to just donate like, 5, 10, $100, whatever you want. And there's also opportunities for a select few folks. We still have like a few openings for it to be part of like the founders circle of the fund.
Ooh.
Well, basically what we've done is we've opened up a few of like 7 to 10 slots for strategic funders
Uh-huh.
or donors to be part of this team. And what it basically allows them to do is it allows them to see the incoming projects from influencers and decide whether or not this is a project that they want to fund. So when they see it out there, they can be like, wow, I donated
I
and
was part of that.
I was part of that. So it really gives an opportunity for folks who want to feel like they're making a difference to get deeply involved in the future of Israel advocacy. And I always tell them, I say, if you have an idea that you've been dreaming about and you keep on saying, oh, Israel's PR is so bad, great, come up with the idea if you want, and we can help execute it. We've got all the right people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that's
Sounds
one
amazing.
way. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Let's get a little bit more personal. We talked about you quitting your day job, etc. But you when you moved to Israel, you weren't an entrepreneur. You took on a job, a 9 to 5. You're Brian, you're a father, you're a single father, you're raising and supporting your children. Being an entrepreneur demands time and emotional runway, and like we said before, financial runway. Was but it really is a testament to you having that entrepreneurial bug in you. My question is like, where did it come from? Other than yes, I felt very called to. Was this something that you saw at home, or are you like doing this completely contrary to your upbringing?
It's a great question. You ask good questions.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Um, it's a really interesting question because I don't consider myself like entrepreneurial. Like now I do.
Mm-hmm. I hate
Um,
to break it to you, Brian.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now I do. But I never thought of myself as like, oh, I'm gonna open up my own business. It just I don't know. Like I almost did once, but I was like, it's too crazy. Like, and I always had like one idea in the back of my mind. It wasn't this at all. Uh, I did like a pop-up shop with a friend of mine, and we did like a really cool like shake company, smoothies, and it was amazing. It was a hit, but it was like, oh, okay, like one day, but it was just like always in the back of my mind. But I never really thought that I was gonna actually do something like this, like have my own agency. Never in a million years. And there was just something about what happened after October 7th that it threw away all preconceived notions that we had about life, about
Yeah.
ourselves, about society. Like, I mean, it shattered everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so immediately, like, first of all, if we can shatter like preconceived notions about society, like we can shatter preconceived notions that we have about ourselves, things that we think, oh, I'm this type of person. No, actually, like that's just what you've been doing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're that type of person. And I think what we tend to do is we tend to define ourselves by the things that we've done
Mhm.
and not necessarily as the potential that we have or
Yeah.
the personality. You know, when people ask you like, "Oh, so like what do you do?" You're like, "Oh, I'm an accountant." But
Mm-hmm.
like it's one of the reasons why I hate that question because
Mm-hmm.
it's not really who you are, but it's become what defines us and
Mm-hmm.
how we introduce ourselves. So, you know, when I was volunteering at the Hostage Forum, I would oftentimes give tours to celebrities and influencers whenever they would come to Israel. And I would inevitably go around to like each of the teams and, you know, introduce the celebrity to this team. And, you know, I would always ask the following question. You know, I would say, and I didn't know the answer. I would point to somebody and I would say, what did you do before October 7th? And this would be somebody like working on the international media team, and they'd be like, "Oh, I was a nurse." Like, what? Like, how are you qualified to be, you know, doing international media?
Wow.
And that's the beauty is that it didn't really matter if you felt like passionate about it and you just stepped up into this role that you never thought that you could do. And the most perfect example of that is after October 7th, everybody became an arms dealer, right? Like everybody's like, I've got helmets, I've got bulletproof vests, I'm selling drones, yeah, I've like duffel bags of like you're measuring like what you've contributed to the war effort in duffel bags. Like what? It's crazy. So that was happening in real life here, especially at the Hostage Forum. And it just shattered all these preconceived notions that we have about ourselves. And I found myself running a team, and I never really was a manager. I maybe did it for like 5, 6 months, and I stepped into the role. Yeah.
You know, you touched on something so Jewish, Brian, when you said a key word here about potential, right? Like, I think it's so important when we're talking about making a livelihood from a Jewish perspective, if we could try as best we can to see ourselves from the perspective of our creator who only sees potential, right?
Hmm.
And not get stuck in, like you said, the definitions of what we've done, what the expectations are, but really, and you know, it just reminds me of so many stories of the Lubavitcher Rebbe of what he saw and the potential in people, like Rabbi
Hmm.
Lord Jonathan Sachs when he went to him, and so many people that he saw something completely because he could see at at the soul level what that person, that individual is capable of doing. And I think
Hmm.
Hashem has a beautiful way of putting us in situations and circumstances where he gives us the opportunity. Not always do we take it. You evidently have, and many people in Eretz Israel, as you just described, have, to where we're put at that crossroad. Am I going to take the leap of faith? Am I going to go for what doesn't seem to make any sense? There's no rational, you know, reason why I should be doing. There's no qualifications. There's no resume. There's no background, and yet I'm going to do it. Um, I think it's such a powerful lesson. You talked about we all became arms dealers. I just saw somebody talking about another weapon in this war to fill in. I just saw somebody, a young girl. I mean, I don't know, she should be in her 20s. And somebody was introducing like a tefillin campaign or whatever. And then she comes up in the video and she says, you didn't expect to see me. How did I become a tefillin dealer? And it was like the cutest thing. Like
Yeah,
this
that's
girl,
great.
this I should have saved her because I want to find this woman. But she basically started this organization just because she started sending out tefillin. And then it became a thing. Everybody started calling her to fill in for the soldiers, and that became her thing.
Wow. That's, by the way, there's like two things I want to touch on that you mentioned. Number one is I was looking through, like, it's weird, like right now, like since October 7th, every few days I look at my stories in my Instagram to like see like what was I up to a year ago.
Mm.
It's kind of crazy. And so today I looked and I realized that a year ago, today or yesterday or tomorrow, something like that, that I donated a pair of tefillin to a soldier. Like
Wow.
it's like so crazy. And like so the thing that I saw was a video of the soldier thanking just he said whoever donated, like, he didn't know it was me or anything. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, and so it's just crazy that you mentioned that. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 Brian, this is incredible. So, Brian, I like to coordinate all my guests with what I call Jewish Money Matters fill in the blanks. This is a part of the show where I give you an open-ended statement and you finish it with the first thing that comes to mind. You're up for it?
Yeah, of course. Love it. Yeah.
Amazing. I think the first one you're going to love because, by the way, I saw you the other day in an ad for an organization that we both love. I'm like, oh, there's Brian, who I'm supposed to talk to in a few days, Daily Giving. I'm a
Oh
big
yeah.
fan of Daily Giving. I've had them on the show. I
Yeah.
promote them on the show for a very long time. One of my
Yeah.
biggest like nachas moments is when they send me screenshots of people who like sign up to be daily givers and they say that they found Daily Giving through the show. It's like, yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's great.
so,
Yeah.
so you'll like my first one. My first one is when I give Meiser or tzedakah, I like to give too.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean daily giving for sure. Um, the other one is Leket. Leket Israel.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess I'm maybe a little bit biased because they're a client, so this is a plug.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Tell us what
But
they do for those in the audience who don't know.
yeah, so Leket is the largest food rescue organization in Israel. And basically what they do is they take food that would otherwise, is perfectly good and edible, that would otherwise be thrown out. They rescue it and ensure that it's getting into the hands of the needy and the poor and the hungry. And they distribute, I think it's like 300,000 meals, over 300,000 meals a week in Israel. And the beautiful part is that like sometimes when you're buying food, like other charities, and you're buying food, like you're paying for the food itself, and there's like a direct like, okay, how much does the food cost? And
Right.
therefore I now have to that's the cost of the food. Here, you're able to actually, by donating, you're donating more to like the logistics and the operations and the drivers because the food is already paid for. It's already grown off the vine or
Right.
it's already at the army base. It just needs to be rescued. So the cost of a meal is minuscule. So you're actually, every dollar I think is like, several meals or something like that.
Yeah, it's a big stretch of your dollar. That's great. All right. So I'd love to make more money because
I'd love to make more money so that I can really continue my mission. Um, yeah, I feel really strongly about that. Because if I don't make more money, I won't be able to continue the mission.
Mhm.
And so many people believe in the mission of what we're doing and what we're building. But I took on a big risk by, of course, starting something where it's like, hey, these are all the people that nobody wants to work with. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm going to go start a company to represent them. Great idea. Um, but also at the same time, um, I spent like 3, 4 months actually putting the brand partnerships on hold, so to speak, and building up a lot of the value in the community, and trying to ensure that we had enough services and building up things for them. So yeah, I want to just ensure that there's enough revenue coming into the business so that I can continue building this to be much, much more impactful than it is today.
Amazing, amazing. Something I wish I'd learned about money growing up is
Everything? Like, I don't know why there's no class in elementary
seriously.
school, in college, in high school, in college that is just like personal finance.
Yeah, the
I don't know.
basics, right?
Basics, yeah. And then I finally figured it out in America, and I was like, I had my personal finances, like, and I had like an app, and I was feeling so great. I was like saving money. I knew exactly where my money was going. And then I moved to Israel, and
Right.
oh boy, with I had like $75,000 in savings,
Oh, yeah,
moved to,
yeah.
and then within 1 year, all of it
Gone.
was gone, completely gone. And then on top of that, the finance system here is like Chinese. It's
Yeah.
totally different. And I still haven't hacked it.
So
So
you know, there's a book out there. She was just on the show, Rivka Leibowitz. You know Rivka? She does she does amazing job for Olim, educating them on how to navigate the banking system in Israel. And she just re-released her book, like updated it, and just
oh,
came out
cool.
again. And it's I'm blanking out. She was just on the show. Uh, Simple Banking Israel something. I'll get back to you on that. I'm blanking out, but anybody, I tell people, if you made Aliyah, you need it. If you're thinking of making Aliyah, you need it, because really she's the woman to help us like understand the banking system. So there you
Yeah.
go. Have a book for you. All right.
Amazing.
Money, spiritual or physical?
Uh, what does that mean? Can you, yeah.
Do you think it's spiritual? Do you think it's physical? Do you think it's both? I'm on the both camp, if that
I think
helps.
money is spiritual or physical. What I will say is, I think what comes to mind when I think about money is I think about how money works here in Israel
Mm,
and how it's like appreciated differently in America. And I think what's interesting, I spoke about this on one of the podcasts, but um, what I find really interesting is that, you know, here in Israel, I think most people are struggling with money. Like it's just
mm,
it's more challenging. And yet people are happier here,
mm,
like struggling, like everything's a struggle. Like, everything's more expensive. You don't have Amazon, you don't have Target, you don't have uh, Uber Eats and DoorDash and all these companies like instantly, like whatever you want, when you want it, delivered in whatever method you want.
mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't exist here. I get a call from my shaliach, my messenger, who's delivering me like medication, and it's a struggle every single time. He's delivering it to me, and it's as if he's never done deliveries before. He's a delivery guy, and it's like it. It boggles my mind. So
Mm,
everything's a struggle, yet I feel like people are happier here.
yep.
And what I think tends to happen with, I think this is just in life with people is that you have a lot of money, you have a lot of comforts, and then everything's just easier and you don't appreciate things as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And what I try and instill in my kids is to appreciate every little thing. And anyone who's interacted with my kids or knows my kids, they get excited over the smallest, minor little things, like whatever activity we're doing, or it could be anything. They get so excited. And that's how I think that we should appreciate life and go through life is like we're little kids and everything is new and exciting.
Yes.
I think it's sometimes when we live in like a world of comfort where everything can just be delivered to us, we lose that.
Yeah. Yeah. You just touch upon the challenge of wealth, right?
Yeah.
And that's the challenge of wealth, losing touch with the essence of what's actually of importance in life, and losing that humility and that gratitude and that joy, all of the things that make life worth living, etc. Something I
That's why if you have money, you should move to Israel because then you'll still feel that discomfort and be grounded in some reality.
You'll be spiritually in check, people. Okay.
Yes. That's
Yes.
what
God, and look, it's a holy man. God knows
yeah.
what he's doing, no doubt. Not no, and we're all headed there. So it's taking us, some
Yeah.
of us, a little bit longer than it should, but maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I'm headed in that direction. Don't worry. Okay. Something I splurge on unapologetically is, it's not Uber Eats, apparently.
No. Something I splurge on. Wow, right now, nothing. Um,
There's nothing, there's no way to
startup
splurge.
life, startup life, yeah. Right now, literally nothing. I would say like when I have the ability, it was splurging on experiences.
Mm,
So going and traveling. I was fortunate enough where I was able to go on like 1 year. I did like crazy amount of travel. It was like right after COVID was like, and everyone was like, all right, we gotta, I just went all out and I went on like different sailing trips and different islands and snowboarding and yeah. So my philosophy is to like make the most out of life and don't don't waste time. And so I really appreciate experiences over things.
Yeah. And by the way, there's studies that have been done about like the fact but when we use money to buy ourselves experiences, it leads to greater contentment than using the money for just more stuff.
I'm sure.
I,
Yeah.
I know, me too. It's definitely been my experience as well. Brian, saver or spender? Do you have
Uh,
one nature over the other?
probably a spender,
Hmm.
probably more of a spender, but I don't spend that much. But
Yeah,
I'm
but I
also
have to give it to you. You had
super.
75K saved up before you made all. Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Yeah, but you know what? My life it's I don't know, my life's been like such an interesting roller coaster of experiences since I made Aliyah. I
Yeah.
never thought that like first of all, I never thought I'd make Aliyah, never thought I'd get divorced, never thought that I would be doing any of the things that I've been doing. So it's a testament to just kind of being fluid and
Yeah.
going with the flow and just taking whatever life throws at you. Um,
Trusting in God.
Mamash, like total trust in God, trust that doing the right thing is going to ultimately, lead you to, be successful. I feel like that every single day because I have to say, like, this is public, but I say this privately, but whatever, is that everything that I'm doing at the company, it seems amazing. And like you look at the Instagram and there's crazy, crazy momentum and so many
Hmm.
good things are happening and the company is growing. Um, but financially, it's been crazy, crazy, crazy challenging. Like challenging is an understatement. So yeah, it's like I keep on saying to myself, I'm excited to look back on this and be like, wow, I really, really struggled. And look where I am today. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
I'm excited for you. And trust me, any entrepreneur in the audience can relate. I can totally relate. It took us,
Yeah.
I always say, they say like it took you 10 years to be an overnight success. I tell my husband we have another business. I tell him, "Oh, it's taking us, it's maybe going to take us 20 years to become an overnight success, but it's
Yeah.
coming. I have no doubt it's
Yeah.
coming."
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
It's a
Yep.
beautiful journey though. Today, I'm most grateful for.
Um, aside from the classic kids, family, health, I feel really grateful that I managed to find meaning in my career that is, and not just meaning, but I feel like the luckiest person like in business because every time I talk about what I'm doing, people are like so happy and excited and they say this is so important and so like what world is that I happen to have done that? Like it's I just have so much gratitude that I'm in that position that I'm like at a loss for words that this is the thing that I'm doing that everybody's excited about. Crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So good. And finally, and it's not a trick question, you can take it anywhere you want with this one. And I'm not referring to the show in particular, just in general. I'm Brian Spivak, and I believe Jewish money matters because
Um, do I repeat the sentence?
I'm Brian Spivak, and I believe Jewish money
I'm
matters
Brian
because
Spivak. I believe Jewish money matters because ultimately we are Jewish. I'm Jewish. And like it or not, money is what drives business, it drives society, and it is the life force behind commerce and economy and growth and execution. It's not everything, but it is the air, the oxygen. And so we can avoid it, we can procrastinate, we can do so many things, but if we don't treat it with the respect that it has earned over time, like nothing else, then we are bound to lose.
Nice, beautiful. Brian, tell us where we can connect with you. Tell us where we can find Barzel Media, where we can donate.
Yeah. So we're more active on Instagram than anywhere else. So barzel.media. You can find us there. You can find my personal account. Just look me up, Brian Spivak or SPIBRI85, and on LinkedIn. And all the links are in our bio on Barzel Media. So if you want to donate to the Digital Israel Fund, feel free to contact if you are a Jewish-owned brand or an Israeli brand, or you want to get involved and partner with us in any capacity, feel free and reach out. I'll try not to say no.
Brian, thank you so much. Kol hakavod for everything you're doing. This was wonderful. Continued atzlacha, and we're happy to
Thank
support you any
you.
way we can.
Appreciate you so much. Thank you.